Welcome to our February CAC meeting. I'm looking at the gallery view and I'm seeing all these beautiful faces and I'm so excited. And I see that we have on Dr. Baker, superintendent, and we have two board members here. We have Mr. Juan Benitez and Mrs. Megan Kerr. I know that Ms. Craighead likes to watch us on YouTube, so if she's watching, hi. But I'm sorry, I wanted to speed through introductions really quickly. For CAC board, I have on Samantha Holdren, wave, Courtney Stewart, it's the beautiful lighting down there, and Jennifer Yates right there, beautiful hair. And we also have Dr. Simon here and a bunch of district staff. But if you wanted to just say hello, Dr. Simon.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be with you.
And I just wanted to, we have a whole bunch of stuff to do today, so I'm just going to skip, move right on and jump to our announcements. And we have Dr. Bittner here. She is from Cal State Long Beach, and she is in charge of this wonderful summer program called Camp Nugget at Cal State Long Beach. And she wanted to come and give a little talk about it. A lot of us know about it, have had our kids in it. And let's let her have the little pitch. So maybe we can pin her, or I don't know how it works. Mystery, it's on. But there you go, Melissa Bittner.
Hi, hello all. Thank you so much for allowing me to come talk to you all today. I'll be pretty quick. I know you guys have a packed agenda as always, but wanted to let you know on March 1st, online Camp Nugget registration will go live. Now, I know we do have to be online this summer. I'm sorry. Yay, COVID. But here's what we are going to do to try to make it a better experience for your children. We're going to do two versions of Camp Nugget this summer. One will be a free version like we've been continuing to offer. So in the chat, I am putting an example of what we do in our online version. Again, it's free. And we go live here starting actually in a couple weeks at 3:45 on Tuesday, Thursdays, and at 1 o'clock on Wednesdays. And we provide about 45 minutes of physical activity virtually to students. And the nice thing about our program is that it is differentiated. So if you have students with high needs of support, or students who need to be challenged, we should have modifications so everyone can be successful with our activities. We are choosing activities that you need limited to no equipment, and so you can join in at home. So that's the free version of Camp Nugget this summer. There will also be a paid version of Camp Nugget. So Camp Nugget will go typical weeks of Camp Nugget. So mid-June to mid-July, we will start up on Monday, June 21st, and we'll go through July 15th. So it will be 4 weeks. We will go for 45 minutes per day. The paid version will be $125. So if you run the math, and we're going to do Monday through Thursday, this is cheaper than a babysitter. Literally ran the math. It's pretty cheap per hour. And your child will get some physical activity equipment that they get to keep. So they'll get a ball and ribbon wand and poly spots and all that great thing, along with the physical activities that they'll be doing, plus our small group sessions. So the paid camp version for $125 will be small private sessions, and you'll have two pre-service APE teachers that will be conducting these small group sessions. And so they'll be giving live feedback to your child as they're taking place. And the activities are all going to be very thematic. So you might see fun things that your child might be into right now, like Among Us or Fortnite or Pokemon. And of course, there'll be cultural. There's going to be a cultural day. There'll be a ball skill day. There will be a locomotor day. So again, these are lead up games and activities that your child can engage in to help them in their physical education and hopefully be lifelong physical learners. So I think that's pretty much the quick spiel on the Camp Nugget, both the free and the paid version. Oh, there was something else I was going to say, but one other thing I will put in the chat is that we offer a free Glide application, and these are all the different physical activity resources that our students in adapted physical education have been doing. There are probably 60 hours of physical activity online that you could do. I guess one more thing about the Camp Nugget paid version is that we will record all of those sessions and they will be archived. So that way, if you're not able to make that 10 o'clock time, or if you wanted to do them later at another date because your kid was totally into the Among Us activity and you want to do it again and again, that will be yours to keep at your disposal in a Google Drive. So we hope that everyone can join us for the free or the paid private version of Camp Nugget this summer. And of course, fingers crossed that we are back face-to-face next fall when we can do our after-school program, because I miss seeing everybody's faces, and most importantly, your kids. So do you have any questions for me?
So there's no swimming, right?
Yeah.
No swimming?
No swimming, but hilariously enough, our college kids have to take swimming online. Can you imagine? No swimming.
I know. Please. Make sure everybody's on mute. Yeah, I think that's great. And I think also everybody we're going to send out that flyer too. Is there a website that they can, or a Facebook or something they can find easily?
Yeah, I'll put our social media, which is at Long Beach State APE. We post very regularly about what we do. And then I will also put the Camp Nugget website in your chat. I'm just blowing up your chat with all kinds of links, but a lot of great resources.
Yeah, and I think everybody, if our parent, we're each other's greatest resource. So please share it with all your social media connections and district people if you want to share the flyer too. It's a really great program, and see, that's what I love. I love to see kids pop in. It's a really great program, and I really appreciate you coming and talking to us, Dr. Bittner. So thank you so much.
Bye all. Thank you. So good to see all your faces. You say bye, Quinn?
Bye. Bye, Quinn. Okay, that's awesome. So Camp Nugget flyers, it's in the chat, and we will send it out again later. And now we're going to go to the Uniform Complaint Procedure Annual Notice. Hot topic here.
All right, so tonight we have Janelle Harmon. Can you hear me, Robin?
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Before we start, can we, interpretation, I wanted to make sure that we have the link there. I'm sorry. Thank you. Mr. Itzon, is there a phone number or what is the link for interpretation? So sorry, I should have checked with that first.
Sorry, we're having a technical issue. We're working on it right now. We'll get it up in the chat in just a second.
Okay. Excellent. So do your intro slow, please.
Should we wait just so our should we wait just so our Spanish speaking parents can hear? I want to make sure that everyone is taking everything in.
Yes, let's wait.
Let me just check in with Chris offline.
Dr. Prelo. Ricky and Julie Nguyen. They're my relationship goals. Dr. Rosenquist, can you explain to us all what Among Us is? Is it Among Us? Among me? What is it?
Among Us. So I have a limited knowledge. I have limited knowledge of what Among Us is. What I do know is that it is an app or a game on a phone or computer that, see, I can't even describe it. So people are different colors. So you have white, red, blue, green, orange, yellow, and it's like a mystery. So you're in space and you're on this ship. And so there are two people that are called the, I can't remember what they're called. They're the imposters. And then everybody else tries to figure out who commits the crime. And they talk to each other, and it's a whole world.
See, I'm sold.
I'm not very good
And
at
kids
it.
And kids are very addicted to it.
If your kid's not into it, consider yourself lucky. And so one of the things that they say usually is, you're really sus, which means you're a suspect and we suspect you of something. So you have to get into the lingo of the shorthand of asking the question. So it gives them some, question ability as far as figuring things out and critical thinking skills. So there is some learning in there.
Love it. Yeah, you're right. I'm not
All right,
going to
Robin.
download it.
I received the
Spanish interpretation is now there.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to introduce Janelle Harmon, one of our form complaint process at this time. Thank you for being here, Janelle.
Thank you for having me. I just want to commend Wendy on her summary of Among Us. My fifth grader is very into it, and she's very excited to be the imposter generally. So that's the good deal when you play. So I just wanted to add that. So my name's Janelle, and I am coming to you from Human Resources today to talk about uniform complaint procedures. And as I'm talking, I think, Erin, were you able to bring up the screen share for me for the website? Okay.
Yes, yeah, you're good to go.
Oh, okay. So hold on, sorry. Let me go and sorry, now I'm doing two things at once. So in general, when I search for uniform complaint, I go to the A to Z index. So that's what I am trying to pull up. Let me see. Is it popping up for anybody yet? No? Here we go. Okay, so on the A to Z index, you can search for either U for uniform complaint, or if you're just so mad that you need to search C for complaint, it is there as well, because we know not everybody can remember that keyword for uniform. And just so you know, that word uniform also confuses people, because in Long Beach, we tend to think of uniform clothes, and that's not what this is about. The uniform complaint procedure, in this way, uniform just means it's one way of doing something, and that's for the entire state of California. So the uniform complaint procedure, when you get to the website, it gives you a good description here of what that is. And so basically it's a procedure that covers discrimination, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, specifically based on protected classes. So whether it's race, sexual orientation, gender, disability, marital, family, or parental status, all these different kinds of characteristics that are all named here, or whether you're associated with someone. And so when we kind of throw in these different groups, it could be that you have two dads. So as a student, you may not necessarily identify as gay, but because your parents are, you're associated with them. So if the kids are on the playground making fun of someone who has two dads, then they would qualify as being protected, even though that they themselves don't fall under that protected class. So that would be some of the key points there. And the same thing could be if someone perceives you as a certain way. So sometimes we get someone who maybe identifies under a particular ethnicity. For example, they're Puerto Rican, but on the playground, the kids make fun of them for being Black. So they may not actually be Black, but they are perceived to be that ethnicity. So again, it actually doesn't matter what their actual ethnicity is, it's the perception or it's their association. And so all of those are protected classes. So we just want to make sure everybody understands whether or not they are protected. And so we're sharing with you guys today specifically because special ed services used to fall under this. But because there are so many aspects of special ed services that we in human resources are not necessarily privy to, and that goes statewide, that they have taken complaints about those services away from the uniform complaint procedure. However, if someone is being discriminated, harassed, intimidated, or bullied based on disabilities, that still falls under uniform complaint. So it's a weird dividing line. And I always encourage people to err on the side of complaining, because we'll tell you if it doesn't fall under there, and we'll point you in the right direction. I would hate for someone to feel like they're not being served in some way and they just don't know who else to go to. So we don't mind you calling and asking questions to see if it falls under those services or if the services fall under uniform complaint or not. And because the law is constantly changing, we're certainly happy to take those phone calls and, like I said, kind of point you in the right direction. So the board policy is here, and there was a new board policy or revised board policy adopted this fall. It's available both English and Spanish, but the part I want to bring to your attention is just this annual notice and form. And so again, it's English and Spanish. And so I'll just bring that up. And can everybody still see on the screen share? Okay. So in addition to the protected characteristics that we were just talking about, federal and state funded programs are also under the discretion of uniform complaint. So if your child is in an after school program and you don't feel like it's being, they're following the regulations or the guidelines, that is something that could be under a complaint, as well as school site council. So if you're a member of the team and the school isn't holding any meetings or they're not following the plan, you can file a complaint under that. Those don't happen too often, but the other thing that usually comes up is pupil fees. So remember, every student has the right to a free and appropriate public education. And so under that, if students are being charged for things, whether it's a particularly expensive thing, or even if it's just a $10 charge to maybe go on a field trip and they're helping pay the cost of the bus, those should not be mandated. They can be encouraged, they can be requested, they can be considered donations, but nobody has to pay that fee. And there should be a plan for all students to participate, even if they cannot donate or give the money to the school to participate. If you need to file a UCP complaint, there's some regulations here about the timeline. In general, the fees and other complaints can be within a year. Things about discrimination, harassment are within 6 months, but some things can be complained about even longer if it's been a pattern of behavior, not just a one-time thing. So it kind of gets a little complicated. Again, we'd rather have you call and tell us about what's going on rather than you just saying, oh, I missed the 6 months, I'm not going to do it. The responsibilities of the district are there as well, which is that we have 60 days once we receive a complaint to investigate and get back to you as a complaining party. And if you're not satisfied with that, you have the right to appeal. There's some separate information here for preschool, such as through CDC. And the main contact in our office is Kim Dalton, who's the Director of Human Resource Services. So this is who you would either try to call or email or send your complaint to. And then we have a form here, and the form is really for your convenience. You don't have to use this form, but it does contain all of the necessary information that we would require. UCPs do have to be written and they have to be signed. They are now taking electronic signatures. So email is fine. But we do need as much information about the incidents as possible. And then there's a lot of boxes there that you can check for whatever it may fall under. And then it gives you a little bit of space here to write what's happening. Of course, you can attach separate pages if you need more space, or like I said, if it's in an email, that's fine too. And then again, there's the information for where you're going to send your complaint to. And for those families who need Spanish services, although Human Resources doesn't provide translation services, we're more than happy to invite our friends from Translation Services to come down and work with you in either filling out the complaint or work with us. You're also more than welcome to bring a family member or a friend, or somebody who can come in who you feel comfortable speaking in front of and explaining what's been happening as well. So that is it for me in regards to uniform complaints. I'm more than happy to take some questions if they're sort of general. If they are specific, I'm going to type my name here in the chat and my email, and then you can feel free to just email me if they're more personal type of questions or specific to your school site or things like that. So if anybody has any general questions or if I missed something, please let me know.
Is the Spanish translation working? I think we have another Mr. Itzon.
I'm sorry, Robin, we have the numbers up. For some reason, we're having technical difficulties with it. I don't know why it's not working. It's the number we always use. It is being live streamed in Spanish on YouTube right now, so that's the kind of the secondary option at this point.
Okay. I'm sorry about that, guys. But if anybody had any,
you just muted yourself.
You can raise your hand. I did actually have one little question. You said that special ed complaints don't go through UCP necessarily. Where do they go then?
So they're going to go straight to the special ed department now. So, and the reason for that in general, when we talk to the California Department of Ed is, we don't always have resources to get into Synergy to get copies of the IEP. We don't necessarily have the mediation results that have gone through sometimes, things like that. So it ends up going to them anyway to get a lot of help. So it just seemed like it was like duplicative efforts. And I think they were finding that district wide everywhere. So that's kind of why they changed that process. Sometimes there's an overlap. And so we're certainly welcome to help investigate, and we definitely work with our special ed department when there are complaints to make sure that all aspects of the law are being followed that we're familiar with. But there's just so much that's specific to special ed that it doesn't behoove anybody to go through a department that isn't familiar with all of those little pieces of the puzzle.
And Robin, I'm the point of contact for the special ed office. And then I work closely with Janelle and Kim.
Thank you.
I love it. Send all your complaints to Dr. Paul.
And Robbie, can we just say this? We apologize regarding the Spanish translation via Zoom technology. Sometimes it is out of our control, but I know that our board member, Megan Courage, did place the YouTube link for our parents to tune to at this time, just to hear it in Spanish. And again, we apologize.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for having me. I appreciate your time, and I will let you get back to the rest of your agenda.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Janelle.
Dr. Simon, we're going to have just a few minutes to talk about Buffum, or is that going to be in your presentation?
It's not going to be in my presentation. I can address it just afterwards. Whatever way you want to do it, Robin. I'm okay with it.
Do it after or now? Or?
Let's do it after.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, then this is I want to do a little intro. This is our state of special education. This is our big something I look forward to every year because I'm a school district nerd and I watch all the presentations, and I always am excited to get any presentation about special education. So now we're hearing from Dr. Simon herself. She's giving us as much information as she can. This is about all you could ever want to know about what's going on in the district right now, not to put too much pressure on her in front of her bosses. But I also, here's what I really want everybody to be doing at home. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the Zoom, which I hope we got as many parents as we can on the Zoom right now, I'd like you to think. What does Dr. Baker always say? What are you thinking? What are we wondering about? Is there a third one? Chime in, Dr. Baker. What is that thing you say? You want us to be, is it two? What are you thinking and what are you wondering?
I definitely say that, Robin.
I want you guys to be thinking about what you're hearing. Any new what's new information? What questions do you have? And the reason we want to sort of lead into a discussion at the end of the presentation, we're not going to interrupt Dr. Simon. We're going to let her talk. And then if you have a question, type it in the chat immediately. I'm going to be collecting them. And at the end, we're going to ask our questions. And Dr. and Ms. Garcia is here. So we will have welcome questions if you have welcome questions. But the reason I want you to start thinking in this way is because it is that time of year to talk about recommendations, CAC recommendations. So after we get all the information from Dr. Simon, I want your brains to be in the sort of thinking forward of what kind of recommendations might we want to be giving. So take notes, write it down, listen, and thank you so much, Dr. Simon, for giving us your time and all of your.
So I'm going to say this, it is very difficult to lay out special education in its entirety in 45 minutes. As everyone on this call understands, special education is very complex, has many different resources, many different systems. And so I'm going to do my best to give you just some nuances that I know that were asked for this presentation. And then we're going to touch just into some recommendations. So let me always just say, it is a pleasure to be with each of you this evening. And it's also a pleasure to conduct the CAC annual board recommendations, a status update to the CAC members, whether you're on Zoom, on YouTube, our guests, and our friends. I wanted folks to keep in mind, right, from the space, just understand this, that the recommendations that will be discussed today are from January 2019. So there were no new recommendations made to the board in 2020 due to the pandemic. So when you see these recommendations, just know that they do stem. They are from 2019. So first, let me just lay out just the foundation in regards to, I know you guys are seeing the all means all stickers, you're seeing the mantra just everywhere. And really for all means all, it stemmed out of OSSS with the understanding that we're building a culture of inclusivity, right? So there's no more the special education kind of sitting in the silo. It's more so of the work that we're doing collectively, right? To get our student services, and to also meet the diverse needs of our students. So as far as this all means all, right, you're going to see it on T-shirts and messaging, again, bumper stickers. Our management team and many of our teachers have the T-shirts. There's been school site participation with the All Means All campaign. It was the theme for the education celebration in 2019. Our board has this wonderful inclusion resolution from 2019 that was created, approved, and endorsed by our board, which aims to create schools that are inclusive of all students and also highlights the diversity of needs that exist in the Long Beach Unified School District. Also, as far as inclusivity, and you're going to hear more about this today, the expansion of the collaborative co-teaching programs, which is something that this office, this district is very excited about. So now we're at 5 elementary sites and also 11 early education sites, which includes our CDC and also Head Start sites. There is ongoing interdepartmental planning. So again, the Office of School Support Services is not working in its own silo. We are working cross-collaboratively, cross-departmentally with our elementary offices, with our middle school, with our high school offices, with research, with Office of Curriculum and Professional Development. With every single office that's within the district we are working with, right, to ensure that our students are advocated for and their needs are met. There are more elective choices at the elementary and secondary levels, right? We'll delve into that a little bit more. More inclusive practices in every school site. We touched upon that earlier. Connection with outside agencies and groups, and just more energy, more advocacy around ability awareness and also acceptance of our students too. Let's take a snapshot, right? Let's look at our data and where it stands right now. So right now we have about 9,386 students with disabilities. We are about 1,100 down. We have a 1,100 decrease from last year, which makes sense when you look at our overall decreases in enrollment, which is about 3% this year in the district. But if you look at where those students are, as far as their services or MS or MM, right? This is a great graph to show you just kind of where we are in that area. Right now, right, we have more students who are RSP, which is nearly 3,700. And then we have, right, we have MM, which comes in second in short, and then our related services. And then we have other, and then also MS as well. Graduation rates. We've seen some, improvements. And although I'm giving you just a snapshot of 2 years, it's based on how our data was captured. We know that there's still a lot of work to do. If you look at even the comparison between our students with disabilities and our students overall, right? We're still working to build just for overall our students, but really with our students with disabilities by increasing graduation rates. And we're going to speak to that more so around pathways and just different ways we're engaging our families around diploma versus certificate and how we're working with those families even more intentionally, right, to increase the awareness around just graduation. But if you look at the numbers in 2018-19, as far as those students who received a high school diploma, we were around 482. And then for all students in special education, 689. So that 689 number includes our students who received a diploma, earned a certificate of completion, many who may have dropped out as well, or many for those who may have whereabouts unknown. In 2019-20, we had less students for a high school diploma, 486, but less students overall in special education than that level at 629. And the completion rate was at 69%. And you saw that for all students for last year, 2019-20. There was a slight uptick from 87% for the previous year to 89%. And again, I don't like to delve into those numbers when the percentage rate, right, is only up by maybe, 1% or 2%, because that's usually a balance just based on numbers. But it's really to give you a sense of where we are right now and what we're working towards. So if we look at just more deeply, right, just based on those students are special education students who are receiving a diploma versus a certificate of completion, right? So those who are going into the adult community transition program, if they choose. In 2018-19, again, this kind of gives you a snapshot. 482 diploma bound in 18-19. Certificate of completion, 62. And then in 2019-20, 436 of our students received a diploma, and 71 of our students received a certificate of completion. Now, this is a slide that brings me great joy. I get very excited when I see this slide because it shows that we're doing a great job, right? Our team, alongside the high school office, alongside the middle school office, alongside many others, are doing a great job as far as educating and informing and messaging and communicating about our pathways and ensuring that our students choose such pathways. So in 2018-19, if you look at these numbers, we have all special ed students 9 through 12, 1,260. Those who are in pathways, 1,123. Those who were not in a pathway were about 130 for an 89% rate of pathway participation, right? That's pretty good. But if you look at 2019 and 20, right, more efforts, right? So we had 1941 students who are in pathways, 1837. Our students who are not in pathway, 104 for a 95% rate of pathway participation. And when we talk about pathways, let me just break down and name what those pathways are. So we have arts and media, we have business and finance marketing, we have engineering and architect, we have health, science, and medicine, hospitality, tourism, and culinary arts, public service around government, law, and human services, technology, and also environmental resources. So those are the pathways that are currently being offered at our high schools at this time. Now, I know we talked about just some work that we are, well, at the time we were beginning to embark on or in the early time in 2020, which was around our significant disproportionality with our African-American students who are identified as emotionally disturbed. And let me just say that project has come to full fruition. And we have team members with Dr. Paul, we have Ms. LaWanna Wesley, we have Dr. Rosenquist, we have Dr. Heenan, myself and others who are more so working around this plan. And I can say that with Dr. Paul, LaWanna Wesley, Dr. Rosenquist, and Dr. Heenan have really taken on the major lifting as far as really looking at how we can develop a district-wide plan to identify and address the factors that are contributing to the significant disproportionality of our African-American students who are identified as emotionally disturbed. And so from that lens, and more so from a cultural lens, there are some things that have been applied throughout. And throughout this plan, which is called the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervention Services Plan, there are 4 phases that are involved, right, with this project, right? It's a huge project. It's going to take us 2 years to complete. So number 1 was really getting started with understanding what the CCEIS plan really drove us to do. The second part was the data discovery and the root cause analysis. What are the root causes, right, that are placing our students, our African-American students, in special education, and more so with the identification of emotionally disturbed. Right now, we are in phase 3, the planning for improvement. So a plan has been submitted to the California Department of Education. We are awaiting a response as far as approval for that plan. And so we are hopeful that approval will be given, hopefully any day now. Hopefully this week or hopefully by the next week, just so we can begin to move into phase 4, which is the implementation, the evaluation of the plan, and to also see, excuse me, as my AirPods are falling out, how we can sustain, this work as well. So for us, although it's a plan, and it's a 2-year commitment that CDE has given, it's more than just a plan for us. So I tell folks, although we've been pretty much directed to do this work, and not just the Long Beach Unified, but probably the majority of the districts in California, this was something that we were already looking into, already researching, just because we did know and did see that there was an issue with significant disproportionality with our African American students. There's going to be more to come on this. Of course, I can't give you all the information right now because we are awaiting back feedback and also recommendations from the California Department of Education. But as soon as we do, Robin, and to this entire team on this call today, we will be happy to come back and provide an updated presentation, just because we believe this is going to be great work, also very significant work, and also work that we're passionate about and also excited about addressing in so many ways. So let's delve into the recommendations. Again, just based on what I said earlier, these are recommendations from 2019, and you're still going to see some things in progress because they're in progress. There's a lot of work that this team has done to address the recommendations that were set forth by the CAC board. But just know that we are still working on that and still implementing and still improving that work. And you know, honestly, I think for many things that we do, we're still going to be a work in progress because we're always going to continue to upgrade and to expand and to tweak and to change many things that we are working on. So let's look at recommendation number 1. So it says, consider placement as part of the IEP process when a school's attributes can make a difference in a child's ability to be educated in the least restrictive environment. So let's go into the status of this recommendation. And just so you know, just for aesthetics, I did italicize some of the newer things that we added. The regulars kind of block writing, if you will, is based on what was written prior. So we know there's ongoing training with our IEP teams about making recommendations that reflect the least restrictive environment. But since then, right, there are ongoing monthly principals and counselor meetings that this team, our Office of School Support Services team, is a part of to discuss recommendations that reflect the least restrictive environment. And also another place to where our team can continue to advocate, right, for our students with disabilities. There is a common messaging, right, or common message that OSSS has with principals and counselors, that the name of the problem really doesn't matter. The school should be able to accommodate diverse learners. So that's a conversation that we're, continuing to have. However, there are students that need a specific program that is not offered at every school site. For example, DHHH, deaf and hard of hearing. It's also, if you think about the terminology, it's also very similar to even our high school pathways, right? There are pathways that are just not offered at every school that are kind of divvied out. It's almost the same with special education as far as where those services are and specific programs, mostly, not really the services, but the specific programs and where they are. There's also a limited amount of space at sites that limits programs from being offered at the sites as well. And they're also their SOC, so their school of choice options to help parents choose the appropriate program, whether that's near your house, whether it's just based on the program you feel meets your child's needs, right? That's based on the, recommendations from the IEP, right? So there's all these factors in play as well. There's going to be continued training with teams to address a true continuum of service that begins with general education. And that's one thing that's great about the CCEIS plan, is that it really brings along and taps into our general education folks, so our level superintendents and their staff, to say there's some things that we need to work on at the general education level before a student is ever identified, as a student with disabilities. So that's based on interventions, that's based on resources. And so just know that's embedded in the plan. And I can't wait to really get into the nuts and bolts of that when the plan is approved by the CDE. Excuse my voice. Recommendation number 2, allow students in special day class to remain at their school of choice. If their placement changes from special day class to general education, every effort should be made to ensure that change of placement does not mean change of school. Plan for and expect SDC students, special day class students, to mainstream and transition to general education. Look at the status. Again, as I mentioned in progress, some of the former things that were written was engagement in a district-wide conversation about school enrollment and student needs, encouragement of planning and enrollment conversations at their earliest possible point when a student is ready to fully join general education, and still some new things that have been added. So elementary is still a work in progress, right? We're going to recognize that and be transparent about that as well. Most elementary classes are completely filled, which makes it difficult to mainstream and transition special day class students to general education, at their current school. And this is based on, teacher contract, student to teacher ratio. I think sometimes when we're explaining to our community members and our parents, right, a teacher contract is real and it's very specific about how many students can be in that classroom. So it's something that we also have to be mindful of as well. More conversations around inclusivity are taking place. This is going to be the first year, or this is the first year, or this will be the first year starting next year, that LBUSD middle schools will plan for extra spots for electives in core content classes. So something that our staff has been working very intentionally and diligently with our middle school level office staff members to ensure there are extra electives and spots, right, at the middle school level. And then next year, that was for this year for middle school. And then for next year for high schools will offer additional electives in core content classes, just so our students can mainstream, transition, hopefully stay at those schools, but if not, they'll be able to have those courses, right, wherever they may land. Recommendation number 3, adopt a paradigm shift in regards to standardized assessments, because the current use of test scores is a systemic barrier to inclusive education. Standardized tests and IQ tests should not determine placement. Again, in progress, cognitive level does not determine placement. IEP teams need continued coaching around offering placement in the least restrictive environment. Many families do want traditional testing measures, but some do not. We understand that. And there needs to be something for everyone in our practice. A task force being led by Dr. Seema Paul is meeting to review all assessments, right, to ensure they are not discriminatory. We're even looking at adding additional assessments as well for our students. And then we want folks to know here on YouTube, just in general, that standardized testing is only one form of testing used to determine placement, right? It is not the only decision maker. It's not the final decision maker. Just know that it's only one form of testing used to determine placement. And like I said, I wish I was together in person with you all. Sometimes it's hard doing presentations when you're behind the screen. I like to engage and interact with people. So just bear with me as we get through this. And I just hate that we cannot be together, but hopefully one day soon. Recommendation number 4, support teacher training and planning for inclusion. Allow proper training for all teachers and dedicated planning for SEC teachers and also general education teachers as well to collaborate. So in progress plus overall messaging around teacher collaboration, promoting the use of teacher partnerships through using our general and special education experts on every campus. Co-collaborative teaching or collaborative co-teaching, right? I think that has really helped us with our collaboration and also with more inclusivity. So Emerson and Lincoln continue as models of CCT. So with collaborative co-teaching, again, for those parents who do know and parents who just never heard of that terminology, that is when a resource specialist program teacher and a general education teacher are working and teaching together in the same classroom. So again, we have these programs at 5 elementary schools thus far, 6 child development centers, and 5 high school preschool programs this year. And as we have stated, our CCT program is back in effect at the CDC and Head Start centers. And I can say that we all, as far as the Office of School Support Services team, have been able to observe, be in those classrooms. And I can tell you, it's been a pleasure to see kids so happy to be with their peers and also happy to learn in person. So that's been pretty exciting for us. Planning time is still a work in progress. So just to give you a little bit more information about our collaborative co-teaching, our CCT classrooms, again, it's a general education classroom, 2 teachers, collaborative team teaching, flexible learning structures, high expectations of our students, positive behavior support, curricular adaptations, there's specialized academic instruction, SAI, and also an education specialist teachers. So again, co-teaching is defined as 2 teachers working together with groups of students and sharing the planning, organization, delivery, and assessment of instruction, and also the physical space. So just some things that we're hearing from our teachers in regards to co-teaching, distance learning, and things of that nature. And these are some things that are exciting to hear in regards to how students are feeling, as far as taking risks with each other in the classroom. They see us interact and make mistakes and know it's okay for them to take risks too. Another voice said so many benefits. All of our students are getting individual small group instruction daily. We are also able to troubleshoot technical issues with more ease as a team, which in turn helps our students have a more smooth and fluid day. A huge success has been because both teachers have the same teaching values and pedagogy. The classroom community has been effortless to create and sustain. This matters so much, especially in our reality. And then the last kind of voice is our teaching styles are very similar, yet very different. And our students get to experience and learn in different ways. They get to experience different modes of instruction. This really helps with engagement, right? Especially during distance learning. So there's some great things that we're hearing even from our teachers around CCT, around the inclusivity, around students who are doing well with their typical peers in the classroom, which is also very exciting and promising. Recommendation number 5. Rethink the way we do IEP meetings in the district. Create district-wide guidelines that support relationship building between families and school teams. Again, in progress, I think at the time, there was more information needed to be able to fully consider and implement this recommendation. But I can tell you, there have been focus groups for parent input to formulate next steps. There were, I think, volunteers as well as, this question asked for. But also just know that in the change of principal workshops, and that's for newer transitioning principals, relationship building with parents is addressed, right? How do you do that? How do you form and build and forge those relationships? In the process of training IEP teams, school teams on strength-based versus deficit-based language and reports, and also IEP meetings. And again, this is an ongoing process, right? More to come, in progress. So next steps, continued training on inclusive practices for all district staff, Conversations around equity. We have Dr. Baker here, and her mantra is equity and excellence. And this is something that she expects from every single office within this lovely district. So just know that you're going to hear more things around just equity and district practices, even as far as school of choice, and even involved with the work that we're doing in the Office of School Support Service, and more to come on that. District-wide focus on the flow and experience of the IEP meeting, on content that is informed, continued development of our collaborative co-teaching model, again, that we feel is a model we have many districts who have called, especially Dr. Heenan, to learn more about this model and then how they can include it in their school. And again, we're not going to sit here and say that everything is perfect with everything that we do. We know that there is room for improvement in everything. And this is why we're consistently reassessing and tweaking things that we do as well. And a lot of that comes from, the input that we receive from many folks on this call, right? From parents who call us personally. And just know that these things are taken into consideration. Just know that it does not fall on deaf ears. We hear it, and we are listening to the needs of our community. There is a video, just quickly, if I can, that I would like to show. Let's see if it works, because sometimes with Zoom, and this is a video that actually Dr. Heenan and Mr. Brian Moscovich shared at the last board meeting. And for those who are not able to see the video of the CCT program, please give me a few minutes just to share the video if I can click on to that. Give me 1 second. All right, let me see if I can do this. So just a little snippet, just to give you a taste of, how the CC2 program operates, especially at our CDC and Head Start programs. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you guys for listening. And again, I wish we could be together to where I could present this in person and be more interactive and more engaging. So I thank you for your patience and your time.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. Zoom claps. Thank you so much. There's
Thank you,
not. I wanted to be very clear. The recommendations she was going over, she said in the beginning, was for the recommendations we made in 2019 that a group of parents went. I think you can still see the video on the district YouTube page, maybe. And pre-COVID, see pre-COVID, Robin. So Dr. Brown responded to those in 2020, but a lot of them were not, were in progress. And so that was Dr. Simon sort of re-upping. And we do plan on making recommendations this year. And we'll be talking about that. I didn't see, nobody typed in questions. There was one question that Dr. Heenan responded to. So I'm going to see if, well, actually, maybe now would be a good time for us to just to start to talk about Buffum. I just wanted to. Everybody knows here. We all love Buffum. We are all Buffum parents for the most part, and we noticed there were a lot of questions on social media about. That probably happens every year at this time, and we're gonna let Miriam Garcia talk a little bit about Buffum, and then we're gonna go to questions for everybody. And I see your question, Nubia, but let's let Miriam Garcia sort of talk a little bit about Buffum. And I just wanted to say the main question that I've seen a lot is that people are wondering when they're going to get their placement letters. I'm sure you've heard that a lot. And so if you could just sort of speak about what's going on at Buffum, and if there's a Buffum parent here who has a question, we can get to them. Miriam, so welcome and thank you, Ms. Garcia.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Robin. I'm not quite sure what about Buffum you'd like to know, but I could give you an answer about placement letters, because this is the time we start thinking about it and we start talking about it and we start getting ready for the next school year. So if parents haven't had a chance to go onto the district's website, to that same alpha index that Janelle was showing earlier in this meeting, you could, for school of choice deadlines, at the elementary webpage, there's a nice link to school of choice timeline, school of choice parent letter, both English and Spanish, when the school of choice is going to open, which is, I believe, 9 o'clock on March 1st. That's when it's going to be made available. And there's directions. There's also a nice link to directions on how to apply for a school of choice, both English and Spanish, which is through your parent view. And hopefully all the parents on this call have parent view. And if you don't, please call your child's school office and the school secretary can get you a parent view link so you can create your parent view account. And then I believe School of Choice closes at 11:59 on April 1st. So with those timelines, what we'd like to do at Buffum, or at least our goal would be to get placement letters out to parents by March 10th. That is going to be our goal. And without foreseeing any type of difficulty, and if for some reason, if that's not possible, then I would say no later than March 15th. So kind of giving a little bit of a window between March 10th and March 15th, but the goal is definitely March 10th. So I hope that helps. Do you have any other question?
Thank you. Yeah, the Simons family has a question about Buffum. Thank you. Thank you for that date and that window.
Okay.
Go ahead. You can ask your. Yeah.
Sorry. Thanks. Hi, Principal Garcia, Nancy and Brad Simons. So we find ourselves in a really, I think, unique situation at Buffum since our son went to Buffum last March for 2 weeks before the shutdown. And that's the only time he's ever attended, right? And he's neurotypical. He doesn't have any diagnosis of any kind. We put him in there for a speech delay. And so we have another son who's older who attended Buffum, who is on the autism spectrum. So we know all about this. We love Buffum. Something kind of happened to where now his IEP says, that he's an SDC placement. So we can't register him for our homeschool. And we're just a little confused because he just has a speech delay. And the way I saw it was 2 years ago, I was really pushing for a lot of inclusiveness at Buffum, where I wish there were typical kids with my neurodiverse child. And so I thought, well, here I have a chance to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. If I want other parents to do that, I should too. So now I have a 3-year-old who is typical. And I want to prove to everybody that, we can all go to Buffum for early intervention for simple things, and all these kids can be together and it'll be great. I never expected that now I would have an issue. We would have an issue getting our kid into a gen ed setting without there being some pushback. Another issue is his teacher is out, and she's going to be out for a while for personal reasons. And so there's a permanent sub. And again, we have not attended Buffalo since 2 weeks, last year. He is now in a private preschool getting speech services through our private insurance, but we can't register him at our homeschool. So we are very lost, and I never really thought that we would be in this situation. So any guidance, anything, I want to write exactly, I want to write this down exactly what I need to do, because we do want him at our homeschool, which is a dual immersion school. And so I need to get that, I need to get that locked down.
Yeah. Why don't we talk tomorrow? Why don't I give you a call? Because there's lots of questions that I would ask. And this is really, a big meeting with very specific child questions and family questions. And so let's just have a conversation. I'm going to make a note about it and call you. And is there a good time to call you tomorrow? Would afternoon be good?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I do have some specific questions, and let's just have a conversation. I know which teacher you're talking about, and I can certainly understand your concern. Yes. And she's been out for a while. Yeah, let's just have a conversation tomorrow. I just think it's better because it's more confidential too.
Of course. And you did answer the question of, when those letters are coming out. But my concern is if I'm trying to fill out school of choice too, it would just be a really short window. And I'm sure other parents are, going through this as well.
Okay, sure. Not a problem. We can do that tomorrow.
Great. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Garcia, for that. And so let's go back to Dr. Simon's presentation. And Nubia Cedeno, do you want to ask your question in person?
Yeah, hang on one second. Just turning my camera on. I had a question. Where are we at, and what's the timeline for the collection process for next year's board recommendations? Have you started that process and gathering?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, at the end of this meeting, I am going to put out who wants to join the recommendations subcommittee. We're going to have to be meeting on Zoom, and anybody who's interested can Zoom it up. And I have I would like to we're going to have to do it at a regular board meeting, and we're not on any schedule yet. I haven't locked anything down, but in my mind, I'm thinking in May.
What do you mean by we're going to have to do it
at a board meeting? Well, because we used to do it at the workshop, but I don't think we're going to make the March workshop. So I don't want to wait till
the first time we did it on a summer workshop. So you don't have a timeline for that?
No, my timeline is to do it in May, not to do it in summer.
With what time frame to present to the board?
Oh, at that May meeting, probably. I don't know. No, I don't have a recommendation in subcommittee yet. So I definitely would like to see who's interested and see what we could do. I don't have a hard plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to be on that subcommittee?
No? I would like to encourage other parents to be it, and I will definitely be a part, to support other parents. But I think it's really essential this year with what we've just gone through with this pandemic and the school shutdown and the just concerns parents have over our students with disabilities. This would be a really, good opportunity to do that. So I would certainly help support others, but I would rather have other parents presenting. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to be really clear, we're having CAC board elections coming up very soon in April. We're going to do nominations, and it doesn't say anywhere in our bylaws that we only make recommendations once a year. We can make recommendations anytime a year. We could do it 3 times a year. I'm sure that we can go to the school. So I agree. I think it's been a really tough year. And I encourage the next CAC board to do that, to go as many times as they need and to get that kind of feedback. I will just be really honest that it has been very hard to get work done on Zoom during a pandemic, getting people to volunteer time. I mean, you can see just with our participation, it's not what it was. And so it has been really hard. But I you know, my pitch to everybody at the end of this meeting would be to see, you know, who wants to work on that, because I personally have some recommendations that I would like to make, but I would like to see what everybody else wants to say too. So yeah, so I'll be saying it again at the end, probably in our good news shout out comment. So but thank you for bringing that up, Nubia. Does anybody have another question? I see one in Spanish.
From Amelia?
Yes. Hey, Katie. Katie's going to recommend it. Just, can a Spanish speaker, I'm sorry, please translate that for me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
So where'd it go? Okay, so from Amelia, she says it's sad that no one has taken into account that since the beginning of the meeting, she hasn't been able to get translation, and that she's been waiting on the line and nothing has happened. So she's a little frustrated.
I am equally frustrated. I'm so sorry about that. Mr. Itzon said that there was something wrong with the system today, and that all he had was one translator for the meeting.
Robin, Juliana's comment is very similar.
Okay. Juliana has her hand up. Juliana, Ms. Garcia, can you translate for Juliana, because we don't have a translator on the call?
I will do my best, but Nubia's here too. She can.
Go ahead, Juliana. Thank you.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Estoy, bueno, todas las reuniones asisto, pero esta vez no nos dio la oportunidad la traducción, y veo otros padres y también las anteriores, otros padres han dicho lo mismo. Estoy proponiendo que hagan esto de la manera más flexible para que los padres, los pocos padres que participamos, no se vayan y quieran venir al CAC, ya que esto es junta de nosotros.
Okay, gracias. The same comment that has been put into the chat about not having translation. And so she is making a suggestion. Is there a better way or a more flexible way where translation can be provided so that parents don't leave CAC, because CAC is for them? And she's concerned that it just causes them to not participate.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. This is the first time we've had this kind of trouble with the translation not working during our meeting. And Dr. Simon, do you want to speak to that?
No, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's we apologize, you know, for the technology glitches. I'm not going to make excuses, but I just know that with technology, sometimes it works when it wants, but I know that we also have a platform via YouTube that is working. And so that is for tonight, another platform that our parents can utilize. We're going to continue again to ensure we do have better platforms, especially for our district meetings, just because we want all parents involved in this process. And we don't want translation or language barriers to be an issue. So just know that we are deeply sorry about the issues that our families have faced tonight. We're very sorry.
And also, just to provide context to a little bit more of what Juliana said, there's parents that haven't been able to get in at all. And though it's great to have this on YouTube for everybody to be listening, they're not able to ask their questions. We're adding a barrier to them to participate in this. And Juliana has said that she's been to every CAC meeting, but that we need to help make sure that this is well supported so we don't lose the small number of parents that we are having here in attendance.
I totally understand. I heard her very clearly, precisely. We understand.
I was translating for Robin, but
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nubia. But we will work with Mr. Itson again to make sure that for our next meeting, we have translation, we're good to go, we have backup plans and options for our parents just so they can ask questions on this platform as well. And again, thank you, Nubia.
Yeah.
Robin,
yes. Hi, Lilia.
Make a question.
So, Campo,
please.
My question is for the committee. There is translation, or because I think I attend one time and there were no translation, and that's also a barrier for Spanish speakers parents to participate in those meetings. And I believe it is important to all the voices to be heard, and if we can do something, because that's the reason for a lot of parents not participating in the committee. The language is definitely a barrier. I'm sorry if I didn't say it right, but well. Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, so
that in my translation,
I still get nervous when I don't have a word right, and I can imagine other parents that are less vocal and they just wait for the translation, and there is no translation. So the excuses, of course, there is reason, technology, but still it keeps us it doesn't allow for us to participate. So please do the most you can for this to happen, because it's
absolutely. If we're doing a recommendation subcommittee meeting, there will be a translator. Absolutely.
Thank you, Robin.
And if we need a Khmer translator too, we can get that too. Any translator. But yeah, that meeting hasn't been scheduled. I was going to see who was interested, send out an invite to see what date and time works, and then absolutely a translator will be there. So thank you for that. Thank you, Lily. And your voice is always so welcome here.
I'll be interested on participating on that.
Good. I'm counting on it. Sam?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question that I've seen on Facebook regarding CCT. Will there be any new locations or grade levels next year for CCT? Will there be a TK program for CCT? And anyone?
Let's say more to come, Samantha, on that. We're going to provide information as soon as possible. We are looking. I just can't give definitive information in regards to sites or what those programs are at this time. Thank you, Samantha.
Siri, Connor?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm on 2 meetings at once, so I was told that you were taking questions, so I popped back in. I don't know if it's the right time to ask this question. If it's not, please let me know. Like I said, I've been on 2 different things. I have a son who I've been trying to get his initial IEP done for a year. Our SST was calendared 2 days before the shutdown, and he was diagnosed on the autism spectrum last year, February. They did some preliminary stuff over the summer, but all through the fall and into current situations, I'm being told that nothing can be put in place until they can do an in-person evaluation, even though he's been assessed and everything through a regional center. And I'm really kind of tired of getting the runaround. So I was wondering if there was recourse at this point, or if you've heard similar. I know they're very backlogged on IEPs, but I'm wanting, there was supposed to be something in place before we went back to in-person. Now they're talking about going back to in-person. and I don't know what to do. Any thoughts?
Dr. Heyman and Dr. Simon, can I answer that for her?
Oh, sure. There's something as a, was somebody trying to speak? I would just say
going to tell Siri that I'm Dr. Murray and she can call me at the office.
Thank you.
And I am very happy to help you to answer those questions. Okay, Siri?
Perfect. I don't have information handy. Like I said, I was going back and forth. Is there information in the chat?
Our office number, I can put it in the chat for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Because I just know that things have been going on through like private schools, and then like some stuff has been going on remotely, but I've been getting shut down. So I would definitely appreciate the help.
Sam, you're saying that this is a question that you're seeing a lot on social media?
The question that Courtney had entered in the chat.
Oh.
For Mary Beth Murray, she responded saying,
about placement.
Yeah, if you're feeling like your kid's placement isn't really matching your child at this point, and they've been out of school for so long, it's especially with the little ones. What are parents? What's the course of action? So I guess similar to Nancy's question, but in general, because she's not the only one who's having this question.
So I can address it a little bit. Each child is individual, so I definitely have to talk to each parent individually. But Samantha, just to kind of give you an idea, it's difficult for us to say how students would do if they were in class versus watching them online, right? And so we're not able to make change of placements because there's a possibility that we say, oh, he's doing fine or he's doing this way online, but when he actually gets back into person, it's going to be a different story. So we can't really make that call without seeing the child in person. So the change of placements have really been on hold at this time because of the fact that we're not in person.
Thank you. Juliana, I see your hand raised again. I don't know if it's still raised. Do you have a new question?
No, ya no tengo pregunta.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just saw your hand was raised. Thank you. Jennifer Dillon, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Go ahead, ask your question.
Hi. I just wanted to follow up. Dr. Murray, I have the same question that Siri asked a few minutes ago, and I did call your office, and I left you a message, and I've heard nothing back. And my appointment was scheduled on March 17th of 2020, and I have been emailing all the appropriate people monthly, been getting the same answer as many other people, and it is, I'm past the point of frustrated now. It's extremely difficult knowing that neighboring districts have been able to figure things out while our district has done nothing in regards to this. And it's also really disheartening when I find out that close friends of ours that attend private school in Long Beach just last week were able to call and get their initial evaluation through the school district. Well, my child actually attends public school here, and we're going on almost an entire year now. And I'm just, whatever's past frustrated without getting too emotional about it, of while I love my daughter's teacher and her classmates and her school is going really well, knowing that nothing has been done for a year it's getting really, really hard. Really, really hard. And I did call you and I haven't heard anything back. So now what?
So I haven't had a chance to speak with you, and I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't get a message from you. So have we spoken?
I left you a voice message, just like you left your phone number in the chat. I did call you and I left a message on your voicemail last week, and I haven't heard anything back.
Okay, so just to let you know, we just returned back to our building this week. So I'm sure your call is sitting on my voicemail, and today's day 2 or 3 for me back in the office. So I'll definitely be getting to it. I understand your frustration, and like, Dr. Simon, all I can do is apologize. We want our kids back at school. We want them back, but our hands are tied at times because Long Beach has our own public health department. We have to follow those rules. The other neighboring places that you speak of don't have their own health department with all these restrictions. So we have to follow the guidelines that are put in place by our health department, by the county health department, before we can do any of that. We have plans to bring kids back, to start doing assessments. And then the minute that we had those plans in place, something happened and we had to put it on hold. We're back at that point. So now, we're planning again to do these assessments to get kids back in. We, more than anything, really want to do that. We want to make sure our kids are getting the services that they need. That's our goal, right? That's why we're in this. So I'm happy to discuss this more. And like I said, I'm back in the office this week because I've been out since like maybe November. So we are actually in the office now. So I can definitely address all these calls and these questions, which is why my number's there in the chat, and I'm happy to talk with any of you. Okay?
And what about the children that live in Long Beach that attend private school that are able to get this figured out, while opposed to my child in public school cannot?
So private schools have their own rules, and I don't know the rules that they go by. I only know the rules that we have to go by, that we have to abide by. And those are the rules that are set forth by our Department of Health and the Department of Ed. So I can't answer for the private schools. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Jennifer. And thank you, Dr. Murray.
Just to clarify, I believe it's Allison Keller is an employee of Long Beach Unified. I was told by one of my friends who attends private school that she's actually doing her assessment for her child. So the rules only apply for the children in private school, but they can be done by employees of the school district, but it can't be done for children in public school.
Well, I'll have to talk with Allison because I don't know what it is that she's doing. So we'll have to find out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Murray. Actually, I don't know if you're a doctor. Yeah, you're a doctor. I just call everybody doctor. This feels like a CAC meeting. And I tell you that I miss being in person because I miss being able to talk to people and have these conversations and hear each other's stories and what we're all doing. It feels like these meetings, like right now, this Q&A session is happening. We're all so desperate. We all have our own questions. So I want to encourage everybody who has the question to ask it right now. And I also wanted to acknowledge and appreciate the district administrators who are here answering them. I really appreciate it. And I do know that we're all coming from the same place of overwork and fear and stress. And I recognize it in the parents' voices. And so again, I appreciate all the people who are staying on. I love that all these questions are coming because of situations that are happening right now with their kid and with the school right now. I did have, just to sort of hark it back to the district the presentation Dr. Simon did. I did have a question about the data that you shared, specifically about pathways, high school pathways. My question is, and I'm not, maybe I don't quite understand how high school pathways have been developed or created, but my understanding of their little kind of like in little mini schools at the high schools, and they all have their own prerequisites to get in their own majors and stuff like that. My question is, when they were being created or as they're being created, is there somebody who is sort of thinking about who I kind of use that the metaphor that Dr. Brown uses about like inclusion being a party that you know, you can invite people to the party, but if you don't make them feel like you were expecting them to show up, then they don't feel welcome at the party. Who are there pathways that have been created for kids on the spectrum, for students with disabilities? Like, I feel like there's a lot of really great pathways that have like really strict sort of like prerequisites to get in with testing. Well, you know, I have a kid who doesn't do sort of standardized testing well, but he does have a lot of intelligences in different areas. So are there pathways with kids like him in mind? And if not, is there a person in the district who is sort of involved in pathway creation? That's kind of a convoluted question. And again, I'm sorry, it's because I don't really understand how pathways were created. But do you understand what I'm asking, Dr. Simon?
I think the pathways were created based on the demand of the industry and also interest for, you know, from our students. So, I mean, when you look at like arts and media and hospitality and technology and all these things, right? These are all put in mind as far as you mentioned, inclusivity, you know, from my understanding with all schools or all students in mind. So there wasn't something saying, oh, this is just for general ed, this is just for students with disabilities. It was for all students who can be a part of the pathway and do exceptionally well. Are there some pathways that, you know, you have in mind, Robin, that you're thinking that, you know, folks should consider? Is that what you're throwing out as well?
I think when we think about like high school choice, I think a lot of parents are thinking, what pathway is going to be the best one, more, you know, most supportive for students with disabilities. And I don't want it to just be the pathway that has no GPA requirement, or like, I'm wondering, when these pathways were created, are they leaving out certain kids because of something like you have to have this certain test score? Or if that thinking has sort of gone in there.
Yeah,
My
I think
kid's in second grade. This is all future talk.
That's okay, but I would say I would believe the pathways were created with all students in mind, based on who can succeed, you know, based on all students succeeding, and based on excellence and equity. So, I mean, again, I think just to answer your question is for all students as far as those pathways and how they're driven. So, you know, for many of our students, they're able to articulate and state what their interests are, especially in going into high school. So that helps, you know, with these discussions. We have parents who call our office just to get more information around pathways to where we can link them with someone in the high school office or even someone at the school site to even explain, right, more of those pathways and, you know, how they operate and things of that nature. But I think it's telling when you see the participation rate, you know, within those pathways, and will work, right? I've seen some of the chat messages around how can we differentiate, you know, that data as far as, you know, who's going into what, and even at more of our participation rates, right? That's something I can work with the research office to try to pull. But I think it's telling and also promising, right, to see that we have many of our students with disabilities who are going to those pathways and who are enjoying those pathways as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really great to see that data on the pathways. Katie, you have a question. Katie, it's so great to see you.
It's great to be here. I haven't been involved because I've been working late to be able to help in the morning and work later hours, but I'm happy to be back. So I'm a little bit emotional, so please bear with me. This past weekend, I saw something on social media from the teachers union talking about testing, and I understand testing needs to be done on students. I'm not opposed to it. I'm a nurse. However, the picture on the website was like the deep one, where the nasal swab goes all the way back to the back of the throat. And then I'm expected to make a decision this week about whether or not my kid should go through hybrid or do 100% online. My question is, of course, my kid has autism, so there's like really no way I can expect my son to do that every week. Honestly, that test is hard for a neurotypical person. I've been subjected to it twice already because I've had symptoms just to roll out COVID. And I've like literally have a death grip on like the steering wheel or a chair when they're doing a nasal swab to the back of my throat. So my question is, we're expected to make this decision, but we're not being provided the information. So first question, what kind of tests is this kid's going to be able, or would the kids need to have if they do hybrid? Could they be able to do the alternative one where they do a saliva test? The second one, my other question is also, I'm sorry, so maybe we'll focus on that one first, the test itself. And where is this test going to be performed? Is this going to cut into instructional time? Because from what I read on the teachers union thing, it made it sound like it's going to be completely cut into instructional time, and they don't have a whole lot of instructional time. So those two questions first, if somebody doesn't mind answering that.
Sure, Gonzalez. So I can tell you, as far as the testing, this is a directive that has been given from the governor's office and also the California Department of Public Health, right? So, right, we realize that it's not ideal, but in order to open schools, this is a requirement that has been passed down to us from the governor's office. So as far as the testing, I believe the testing requires a PCR test. So while it's not the one that has, that's jammed up your nose, I've had the same test. So I do understand the pain that's associated with, but it is the nasal swab that can go pretty deep into the nose. And I say that just because my child had that test last week due to exposure in her classroom. That's not LBUSD. As far as when that test will take place, I can just tell you all those nuances are being worked out at this time. I don't have definitive answers, and so I don't like to make assumptions. I'm not going to do that tonight either, but just know that as soon as more information around testing, how it's going to be administered, in what way, that information will come from the district. Just right now, I don't have that information to share.
Okay, so my second question has to do with services. So my son, he's in general ed with RSP and speech. And I don't know, I'm hearing from the teachers that they're not allowed to change teachers. So my son has 3 teachers, obviously his gen ed, his speech, and his RSP. Is there a possibility where if he did go back to school, if he can have a special ed services in person and just keep online for general ed? Because honestly, speech on Zoom it's not really doable. There's too much interference. She can't hear him. She can't see his tongue. I mean, honestly, it's almost. I mean, we do speech 1 day a week in person. At least I feel like I get that through my insurance, but it's very difficult. And then RSP is my son he really needs help with RSP, and I think he would do better in person than he is online. So how are we planning on working this out for kids that are in gen ed and have services?
We're actually looking at that as an option for parents. It's totally related to the parents' selection of the programs, but we are looking at possibly having in-person services as well. This is all being worked out as we speak.
So,
Thank you, Katie.
So I'm still looking at, like, I'm supposed to decide by Friday. And I mean, I'm under the impression that we're held to our choices. Like, we can't just switch our mind. if things, you know, if I find out that it's nasal only or whatever, like so can somebody, so I mean, I feel like it's been a year. You guys should have already had this stuff worked out. I'm feeling like another parent where it's like, why is it? I mean, I can understand from healthcare. I mean, we got the freaking pandemic launched on us. We didn't have proper PPE, but we still showed up to work and did our best. How come it's been a year and the school is still trying to figure out this stuff? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm frustrated. I mean, this is going on a year.
So I would say, Mrs. Gonzalez, I understand your frustration, and just know that we are equally frustrated in many parts. And I'm not trying to minimize your frustration at all. We are constantly receiving new information from our state and federal governments in regards to constant changes that are taking place. So I can tell you, even with the governor's orders that took place almost the first of this year, just in regards to PCR testing, that has not been followed by any funding or any other support or guidance. Of course, it has left districts to kind of fend for themselves and build protocols and processes on their own. And so it has been very difficult. And again, the frustration is real. I have kids in school. I'm frustrated. I understand. I get it. But just know that we're also waiting on surveys, our partners with our unions. I mean, there's so many things that come to play as far as how we can roll out and prepare for our students to return. So when you hear us say that we don't have that information, I'm being transparent as possible. I'm not going to sit in front of this CAC board, this membership, our guests, and assume or not be truthful. And so all I can say is we are preparing, we are working nonstop, to get all those answers for our families. But just know that this is what we're dealing with as well. Okay. And I understand that frustration. It's real. I totally understand that.
I mean, my son's regressed. It's been very painful. I feel like our kids are like at least we're having this discussion tonight, but I feel like they're kind of the forgotten kids.
Oh. And we hear that from many of our parents, not just from students with disabilities, our general ed students, our foster, our homeless. And I mean, we're working hard to find the resources and interventions, at a rate and the speed that we can. And again, excuses, that's not me. But I do want this body to understand that we are working, and when we work, there's a new decision that has been handed down, to where we have to constantly pivot and make those changes. And those changes are sometimes not easy. Just to give you in relation to special education, our previous Secretary of Education gave no guidance, nothing to districts. To where, again, we had to fend for ourselves. Now, we've been working with our neighboring districts and other districts, just even nationwide, to even team up to make a good protocol and also procedure. And that's something that we're going to continue to do. But the lack of information that we've received as far as guidance has been limited to none. And I want to be very frank about that. But with that being said, our team is working very hard to find those supports and work with our families. And so we thank you for your questions. We know you're frustrated. All right, I feel it, I see it as very palpable. But just know that we're going to continue to work, Ms. Gonzalez, to fix.
Okay, I appreciate it. I've been trying to just be patient. I understand being in healthcare, things change every week. I mean, we're being told every single week when it regards to COVID, how we're going to, treat patients, and things change all the time. So I just hope that as soon as you guys know something, that we'll be able to be informed.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, for sharing. We don't have much time left, but I did want to get to Sylvia. If we could try and get a couple quick questions in. Sylvia Cadena?
Sí, buenas tardes.
Yo tengo dos preguntas. Una es relacionada acerca del comentario que la señora está hablando, y mi pregunta es si el distrito ha considerado que continúen las clases en línea para el próximo año. Yo tengo un estudiante en educación especial, mi hijo tiene autismo y en este caso a él le ha funcionado. Y a mí me preocupa, él padece alergias o que él regrese a la escuela físicamente. La segunda pregunta es acerca de las evaluaciones. Mi hijo recibió evaluaciones, pero no se terminaron o no se completaron debido al cierre de la pandemia. ¿Qué puedo hacer? Ya que el distrito, sé que ahorita no está haciendo las evaluaciones en persona, ¿se deben de tomar en cuenta esas evaluaciones o tendría que esperar hasta que regrese a la escuela? Gracias.
Someone translate, please.
Did somebody?
This is Nubia. I can translate if she's able to put it in the chat. I just wasn't able to catch all of that. Silvia, ¿todavía estás ahí?
Sí, aquí estoy.
Ok, puedes decirlo otra vez y voy a traducirlo para ellas.
Gracias. Tengo dos preguntas. Una es relacionada acerca del regreso a escuela.
She has two questions regarding the returning to school.
Y es referente que si el distrito ha pensado en que las clases del año que viene puedan continuar en línea.
Has the district thought about offering online classes for next year, continuing online learning?
Mi preocupación es lo mismo que la otra persona estaba mencionando. Mi hijo tiene autismo, tiene muchos problemas sensoriales, no creo que se vaya a dejar hacer los exámenes. También es acerca de, él está funcionando las clases en línea. Él tiene alergias, padece alergias, toma medicamentos, para nosotros sería mucho mejor eso.
Her concern is like what the previous mom had mentioned. Her son has autism and sensory issues, and she's concerned about whether he'd be able to tolerate the test. He also has other medical concerns, and online schooling has been working for him, so she wanted to know if that's something that's being considered for next year.
La segunda pregunta era relacionada a las evaluaciones. Sé que ahorita por el cierre de la pandemia no se están haciendo en persona. En mi caso, el distrito evaluó a mi hijo en el trianual, pero no se terminaron. Ellos están tomando como un revisión de años atrás para hacer cambios. Es algo que no estoy de acuerdo y quisiera saber si hay otra manera que se puedan hacer las evaluaciones. Gracias.
Her son was having evaluations done as part of a triannual. Because they weren't able to be done as thoroughly, her team is looking back at past assessment reports to make her current year report. And she is not okay with that, and she wants to know if there's another option for her and her son for the triannual.
Can we get the question answered first about distance learning next year? I think that's a really great question that I didn't even think about.
I'll answer that, and I think Dr. Hina wants to answer the assessment question. There has been no conversations around offerings for the 2021-22 school year as of yet.
Ahorita no hay planes para seguir el aprendiendo de distancia o ahorita para el año próximo.
And the question regarding assessment, if I understood it correctly, any student who requires more assessment or in-person testing when they do return to school, hopefully in the very near future, will, once they sign an assessment plan, receive additional testing once school is back in service. So if your child was only able to have a review of records, then additional testing would be warranted when this child returns back to campus.
Silvia, dice la doctora Ginen que si cuando regresen a la escuela va a haber la opción de otra vez hacer los assessments, si nomás fue que están usando los records de los años pasados. So, cuando regresen a la escuela van a volver a hacer las evaluaciones.
Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Jacinda, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I have a question. I'm hearing everybody. I just want to say, based on my two sons, that the school and the teachers in different schools, they're doing an awesome job. I just want to give you guys, of course, I'm always on a positive note. But another thing is, I was just wondering, are teachers going to get vaccinated? Are they going to get COVID vaccine? Because, my child's going to be in the class. If I'm choosing in person, I would like my child to be, at least safe too. If teachers are getting vaccine, I feel like that's another layer of protecting my kids. So that is just my questions.
Thank you for your question. I know that the city of Long Beach is offering vaccinations, has started offering vaccinations. I believe it started in January. And so those vaccination opportunities are open to our teachers, any district staff, if they meet, right, if they're at that level. So I know they were vaccinating adults 65 years or older, healthcare workers, frontline workers, and things of that nature. And now education workers are in line to get the vaccination now.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's wrap her up. We like to do good news, shout outs, feedback, comments this time. If Nubia, you got anything from Long Beach Forward you want to share? Hardest working lady in North Long Beach? No, you don't have anything coming up? No, she doesn't want to share.
Are we going to do the anybody for the committee? Can we do that? Can we drop right now, like, who wants to be a part of that?
Sure.
I'm in.
Who on this? Oh, she's committed on YouTube. Who's in? Put your email address. I'm also going to send an email. Actually, I would prefer if you guys would send an email to cac4longbeach@gmail. But I'll send an email. We'll send an email to our email list to see who's interested, and then we'll start a doodle and see who wants to be involved in that. It's going to be a quick working group. We don't have much time. So, Lilia, Katie, Nubia, I saw Sarah Roselli on there. Sarah Roselli is always great. And then I can maybe, any other parents who are interested now, there will be a translator. Juliana Martinez, I see you. Can we get any of the new ends?
Yo, pero no le entiendo qué dice.
Sylvia?
Sorry. Juliana, ¿quieres saber si vas a entrar a apuntarte para el comité?
Sí. Sí. Voy a...
Pon tu email.
Ricky said yes.
Okay. Pon tu email.
Okay.
She's in.
Great. Let's see, Vianney. Anybody else? Don't make me volunteer you. Awesome. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share? Good news, feedback, shout outs?
I do. Can I say something?
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, Sarah.
Hi.
Please.
I just wanted everyone to know that that ACT, Dr. Prelo and the rest of our staff at ACT put together a really great virtual night to introduce ACT, and all the kids and parents got to see what the program's like, and it was just really fantastic. So I just wanted to give a shout out that it was really great, and you're doing great work over there, and keep it up.
Yay. That's great. I'm going to check that out. I love ACT.
I'd like to give a shout out to Dr. Rosenquist. I don't know if you could hear me. I want to give out a shout out to Dr. Rosenquist. She actually trained up the group of future principals this week, specifically on how to be an effective administrator and leader over special education programs. And so she did an outstanding job. So I just want to thank Dr. Rosenquist for her work with our principals.
Yay. Sam, you had something, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if anyone hasn't, please go to the attendance form. I'm kind of writing everyone's name down, but I put it in the chat as well. It's in your email if you need to. Members need to sign in.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's take attendance. Wow, I am terrible at this. Katie, did you have something good to say?
I do have something good to say. Okay, so I want to give a not that it's not all bad. I want to give a shout out to Kimberly Martin, our RSP teacher at Cleveland Elementary. It's our first year at Cleveland, and I have to say, to be honest with you, it's all been distant learning, but I really love the vibe of our new school. It's actually our home school we switched to, and we have a new team, IEP team, and I have to say that I'm really, really pleased. And my son we did our triannual, and it went really well. And and that was over Zoom. And then he did get assisted technology assessment, and he's been approved to start using some tools that should be helping him with reading and writing. So super excited about that. And I do appreciate the district also helping with other services too for my son. So I really feel like Kimberly Martin, she's really proactive. When I say something, when I ask for something or just have any concerns, she's like right on it. So if she could get positive feedback, I'm very pleased.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we love good RSP teachers.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? Shell Martin, say something positive. No.
I always
maybe you can talk about the presentation for AXA.
Oh, our presentation. I'm echoing really bad. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was just going to say that we can't end without thanking all of the families for being here. I mean, of course, we're, sharing stories and just where we are and how hard this is. But I think that your honesty is really what helps to think about ways that we can support. And so I know we're tired, and I know what everyone is doing is really, really hard. And I know our whole department is just so grateful for you being here and participating in this. So thank you for doing that, because we need to hear all of it in order to be able to support. And Dr. Heenan, you wanted to share a little bit about
No, I just wanted to highlight the district got recognized for our inclusive practices and programs for the state of California. So I was fortunate enough to be able to present with Rochelle Martin at the state level administrators meeting about what we're doing for Long Beach in Long Beach Unified to expand our inclusive practices and programs for students with disabilities. So I was just super proud just to represent the district and all the hard work the teachers and administrators and parents and everyone's doing to really spread that message of inclusion. So Rochelle, as always, did an amazing job. So kudos, Rochelle.
Oh, thank you. It was very much an honor, even though it was very bizarre to do it through a recording, but you know, we're getting used to it.
All right. Well, they're going to kick us out of YouTube, but I just wanted to thank you all again. Thank you, everybody who spoke, everybody who asked their question. Thank you, all of the administrators, for answering the questions, answering the hard questions. I appreciate it. Again, apologize about the translation issue, and you know, hope that should never happen again. And I look forward to seeing you all March 10th. You know, hopefully, maybe we'll be in person. I mean, probably not. It'll probably be on YouTube. But it's good to dream and think of a time when we can all be close-ish. So thank you so much. Thank you to the
everyone.
media services team. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.